Caroline, father of Rachel, son and grandson and great-grandson of sturdy, high-minded folk, present owner of a modest but fertile farm a few miles south of the small but industrious township of Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, was no more vital to the noble pursuit of lasting justice for all than any other man was. In any larger scheme, neither his life nor his death would truly matter. He knew his wounds were grievous, that a quick death was the most merciful fate he could hope for. And still he wanted so much to live, to return to his beloved wife, to his child, to the modest but thriving farm that shone in his memory, fairer than heaven itself. The sacrifice was terrible, unspeakably so. Was it worthwhile? Jacob pondered that question, decided that for him it was. The country had splintered, bone and blood, perhaps never to be mended. It was far from the ideal set forth by those bold intellects who had gathered in Philadelphia back in '76, in a blaze of fractious brilliance. Somehow, in the sweltering heat of a Pennsylvania summer, and yet no doubt cooler than their collective temperaments, out of dissent, out of greed and ill humor and stubbornness and all manner of other mortal failings, these remarkable men had forged a philosophy, a glorious vision of what a nation, a people, could become. To Jacob, bleeding into the ground, in the midst of an endless war, that goal seemed more distant than ever, hopeless, even impossible. And still, had he been able, he would have fought on, died not just once, but 1,000 times, not for the country as it was, but for the noble, sacred objective upon which it had been founded, liberty and justice for all. Whatever the cost, the Union must hold together. So much hung in the balance, so very much. Not only the hope and valor of those who had gone before, but the freedom, perhaps the very existence, of those yet to be born. In solidarity, the United States could be a force for good in a hungry, desperate world. Torn asunder, it would be ineffectual. Two bickering factions, bound to divide into still smaller and weaker fragments over time, too busy posturing and rattling sabers to meet the demands of a fragile future, or to stand in the way of new tyrannies certain to arise. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. That belief, inspiring as it was, had chafed the consciences of thinking people since it flowed from the nib of Thomas Jefferson's pen, as well it should have. Like many of his contemporaries, the great man himself had kept slaves. The inherent contradiction could not have escaped a mind as luminous as Jefferson's, nor could the subtle difference in phrasing as he wrote those momentous words. He had not written that some men were created equal, but that all men were. Strenuous opposition to the indefensible institution of slavery had been raised, of course, but in the end expediency prevailed. Representatives of the southern colonies, with their vast fields of cotton and other valuable crops, would face certain ruin without their millions of unpaid laborers. They had refused to join in the rebellion against Great Britain if slavery was outlawed. Since the effort would surely fail without them, the concession had been made. But what was the value of freedom if it remained the province of white men while excluding all others? Alas, the question was too big for a man in the process of dying, alone and far from home. There was nothing to be done save letting go. In the deepest recesses of his heart, in that calm place beyond fear and pain and fury, Jacob prayed that the will of God be done in this matter of countries and wars. Then, with that petition made, he raised another, more selfish one. Watch over my beloved wife, our little daughter.